Welcome back to my channel, guys. So for those of you that are new to my channel, what my channel is about is calling a man back to responsibilities, truth, and strength, be correct false teachings, challenge weakness, and rebuild what culture has tried to destroy, which is fatherhood, manhood, and family. So if this is what you're about, you're in the right place. Alright, so what I got for you guys today is we got Andrew Wilson again. Man, this guy, he's going to give me some good content, by the way this is going. I'm not doing this to disrespect anybody, just so you know. I know some guys might take it the wrong way, but it's just to correct what's been misled to the people, right? That's all it is. So the debate is going to be about force, again, authority, and do women need men to carry out responsibilities, right? If you guys want to see more content like this and want to be a part of this mission, consider hitting that subscribe button and the like button. Share this video. It'll help my channel grow. All right, let's get into it. As you've seen my other videos, I explained to you why Andrew's logic falls apart. The reason why his logic falls apart is because he abandons God's moral standard and goes into different worldviews to try to assert truth, right? The problem with that is as soon as you abandon God's moral standard, your logic completely falls apart, contradicts itself. It doesn't stand. It's no longer truth. Soon as that happens and you go into another worldview to try to speak truth, you're only speaking your truth. You're not speaking God's truth. And that's the problem. When we do that, we become just like the world. We reason just like the world. Our logic is just like the world. And then it breaks apart. It no longer stands and it's no longer truth. So we're going to get into it. I just wanted to tell you that before I start the video, so that way you understand where I'm coming from. All right, let's get into the video.
If you see, so you don't make this as a moral claim. It's just kind of a fact of reality.
It's a descriptive claim.
All right, so this is where it starts to fall apart. Not a moral claim, it's a descriptive claim, right? Right here is where you're going to start seeing contradictions. You're going to start seeing the logic fall apart, and you're going to start to see where the truth is no longer truth anymore. As soon as you abandon God's moral standard, like I told you, as Christians, our logic falls apart. We're like everybody else. Doesn't matter. All right, I'll pull up on the screen. When a Christian makes a descriptive claim, saying this is just how things are, while leaving God out of it, that's abandoning God's moral standard. As believers, we do not get to separate what is from what ought to be, because what ought to be comes from God's truth, not human observation. You see what I'm getting at here? Descriptive claim versus God's standard. A descriptive claim says this is just how things are. But as Christians, we do not define truth by how the world works. We define it by what God says. When you remove God's moral standard from the argument, you're no longer speaking from a Christian foundation. You're speaking from human reasoning. Truth can't exist apart from God's design. You can't separate what is from what ought to be if you claim to follow Him. Okay, now let's watch it fall apart. Okay, let's watch it fall apart. You'll see what I mean.
Do you think men should do these things? Like,
Which things?
that they should use force as an authority against women?
Well, sometimes. In some cases, sure. Like if
Like
a
what?
woman's committing a crime, something like that, I think men are totally justified in using force. I think if a woman attacks a man, he's totally justified in using force.
I'm talking as like a societal.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, but these are societal prescriptions. If a woman attacks a man, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable for him to
Sure, so
smack her
but
up.
there are instances where you say he, like if
So he's confusing different categories. He's confusing men having authority over women with a crime being committed against a woman committing a crime. Those aren't the same things. You can't put those two together to mean they're the same things, right? Let's break it down. Problem with this claim. He's confusing two completely different things: force and authority. Force is physically power or coercion. I can't pronounce that very well. I have a hard time with that word. Authority is the right to act, and that right comes from God, or lawful structure, not from being male. Key takeaway is he's confusing force with authority. God never gives man authority over others. Never. Never does God give authority over other people. Neither man or women have authority over one another. Only responsibility to serve others under his authority. Using force to control someone isn't biblical authority. It's a misuse of power. A lot of Christians teach today, too, that men have authority over their wives, that they should submit under to a man's authority. That is not biblical, guys. That is misuse of scripture. I will teach this on another video, but I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm just going to cover what is needed. So if you guys want to see me teach what marriage covenant and all that actually is, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe so you don't miss it, man. All right, let's move on.
Husband beating. So
Sure, but you're saying that, men's authority is through force. This is how why
No.
we should have patriarchy.
No, enforcement. Not so. That's the requisite.
But enforcement is
Yeah, it is force. Yes. Yeah, but that doesn't mean
authority is through
Remember, my
force.
claim is that
Same
might
thing.
makes, not that it makes right,
okay.
but that it.
So it's not a
shapes.
moral ought.
No, it's not. It's just a descriptive.
So
truth.
do you think that men should work to cooperate?
He just made a moral claim without realizing it. He's not arguing from morality, but also makes a moral claim. Okay, let's break this down. First off, I want to say this. He tries to separate force and enforcement, but they're the same thing in practice. Redefining it doesn't change the fact that his logic contradicts himself. He's saying no and then yes at the same time. Force and enforcement are the same thing. It's kind of like, oh, he kind of realized it. Okay, here's the claim. Mike makes, he's saying power determines outcomes. The problem, by saying this, he's implicitly acknowledging right and wrong because he feels the need to clarify it doesn't make right. Here's the contradiction. You can't claim it's purely descriptive when you're recognizing a moral standard. You see what I mean? Even from arguing from power, morality exists. God's truth defines what's right, not force. That's the problem that he runs into. He thinks all force is equal. It is not. It is not. All force is not equal. That is for another video. Let's keep it going, okay?
Do you think that men should work to cooperate with women in society?
No, I think women should cooperate with men in society because they
What
depend
does
on.
co mean?
Yeah, I'll explain. I think that women depend on men for the use of force doctrine for their own protection. So I think.
I
they
mean,
should
I think under
cooperate.
patriarchy, sure.
No, I think under matriarchy they still depend on men for force.
Well, you said protection, right?
Yeah, force.
Yeah. What are you protecting them from?
Well, you could be protecting them from other men generally.
Right.
All right, again, he's mixing a lot of things. See, that's the problem. Do you see the issues that we're running into here now that he's abandoned God's moral standard? You run into a lot of issues. Let's look at the problem here. The claim here is men should not cooperate with women. Women should cooperate with men instead. Here's the problem. This contradicts biblical teaching. Scripture calls for mutual stewardship, responsibility, and honoring others, not force one group to serve the other. This contradicts Scripture. Once you start inventing that hierarchy, there's a lot of contradiction. You can't get away from it. Key takeaways. Society functions best when men and women work together. Saying women should always yield to men misrepresents God's design and isn't supported by Scripture. So, his other claim is this: women cannot enforce or maintain laws without men. This is not correct. Why this contradicts Scripture, all right? Scripture shows that God gives authority to both men and women to uphold justice and order. For example, look at Deborah in Judges. She was a prophetess and a judge over Israel. She led, judged, and enforced God's law. And she also took men to war because they would not go without her. Is it because she's a woman? Is it because they're men? No, it's not because of this. They would not go until she went with them to war because of God. God was leading through her. Do you see what I mean? It has nothing to do with gender. All right? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And if you see in Exodus and all that, other women played roles in guiding God's people spiritually and socially, right? Key takeaway is this: women are not inherently dependent on men to exercise authority. God calls both men and women to uphold his order and justice. And this is my next thing. God's sovereignty. What is that? The victory came by God's plan, not human expectation. Even though it fell into the hands of a woman, success was God's doing. I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead to your glory, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. I think I pronounced that right. The Texas accent's it's hard for me to pronounce certain words. Law enforcement is not the same as physical force. This is where he confuses a lot of things. Laws can be upheld through judgment, governance, administrations, and guidance, not just fighting a war. And I bring this one up to you guys because a lot of these guys will use war as an example. Look, man, war and government enforcement are not the same thing. Okay? War is a different category on its own that you have to deal with. You can't combine those to mean the same things. So I wanted to point this out because later in the video he does mention that. Confusing law with physical force is misleading. God's justice can be carried out by anyone using wisdom and authority, not only strength. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my video. Thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.